I'm not sure if I have anything to say or not. I really love doing this series of videos. And this does feel pointless. But I said I would keep checking in, and so I'm checking in case it's not. I'm aware that I don't think clearly when I'm this depressed. So despite the fact that it feels pointless, I'm doing it, but I don't know if I'm going to have anything to say or if I'm just going to show up and be present for a few minutes to show that I'm still here. How Fast University says doing things anyway sometimes feels like the only way forward. We're in this together. Thanks, Marvin. Much love back at you. So as far as updates go, I'm still spending the majority of my time in some sort of suicidal state. Sometimes getting it down to just extreme depression. It's either very, very, very depressed or most times some form of suicidal. Sometimes very suicidal, sometimes mildly suicidal. Marvin says things are hard, but things are going to be okay. I wholeheartedly believe this. No idea when that's going to be. But every tear will be wiped away. No, that'll be nice. Far away, that is. It doesn't particularly feel like it's true right now. All right. The other thing I wanted to say the next time I did one of these was past couple my computer's been acting up more. The other day I had to try 4 different times starting it to get it to turn on properly. And something went wrong with the order for the new computer. So I have the funds to get a new computer, but it's not on its way like I thought it was before. Well, this would be a very inopportune time for my computer to crap right out and for me not to be able to come online for a couple weeks. Given the current series of videos is me checking in regularly to show that I haven't killed myself. So on the off chance that I do suddenly disappear for a while, don't assume that it means I checked out. Assume that it means my computer did. Marvin says, I agree, but it's the only thing that makes sense to me. I don't believe in being, so it can end in hurt. Well, I don't know what I can say about believing right now, but I'm acting as if that's true. I guess that was one of the points of doing this at all. It was just in case. Doing the stream is acting as if there's a point to all of this, even though it doesn't feel like there is one. Tara says, the point is that there is no point. If there was a point, it would be pointless. Marvin says the answer to the question that was supposed in the beginning, should anything exist instead of nothing, was obviously yes. The nature of that answer has to have been love. Oh, you meant posed, not supposed. When I can think clearly, I agree with that. T from you says, everything we do is futile, but we must do it anyway. Quoting Gandhi. Yeah, I guess regardless of how we frame things, whether you want to call things pointless or meaningful or even good or bad, outside of all those categories, it just is. Whether I should be doing this stream or not, I am. I don't know if I have anything else. To say. I don't know if I can do more with this stream than just check in and show that I'm still here. If I try to talk about what I'm feeling inside, I'm going to start crying or screaming. Marvin says, no need to mend, but it was very nice seeing your face and hearing your voice. Dan says, good to see you, brother, even in our health states. Just woke from a nightmare. Sorry to hear that, Dan. Yeah, I know that this whole time that I've been suicidal, you have been too. And you have been longer. So if Dan's going to stick it out, I can too. You want to tell us anything about your nightmare? No need to apologize, Nerdy Bird. Oh, well, me and Dan aren't doing great. I think Marvin and Andrew are okay, though. Hey, Chuck, I would love to quit being depressed. Just easier said than done. I watched the new season of Afterlife. Like, not that it's new. It makes that point fairly well. Sometimes it's not easy not to be depressed. And for me, I know the cause is not any one thing. Part of this is just lunatic physics. It's a swing up and a swing down when you're bipolar. And then part of it's outside circumstance. But even that's not just one thing. There's a number of separate external circumstances that are very difficult for me to deal with right now. Sabina says, sending you much love, guys. Keep fighting. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. Dust says, at this point, do you think medication may help? It helps dull my pain when things are too intense. I have never found a psychiatric medication that helped. All of my attempts with psychiatric medications made things worse. I spent many years and tried many different drugs. I have found myself wishing that it was as easy as trying again for some answer, for some cure, regardless, whether it's pharmaceutical or spiritual or therapeutic. But when it comes to medication, I'm not willing to gamble on some new one I've never tried before. The idea that there might be some fucking pill that'll help. Doesn't seem worth the risk to me of it getting worse. There's some certain percentage, I don't know, 20% or whatever, type 1 that just never respond to medication. And I could not have. I am so fucking close to the limit of what I can handle. If I took an antidepressant or a mood stabilizer or fucking anything and it had a paradoxical effect, like I don't think there's an antidepressant on the market that doesn't have as a possible side effect increasing suicidal ideation. I'm not willing to risk that right now. And even over the past years, even when I'm in a clearer frame of mind, when I consider trying medication again, it doesn't seem wise to me. It seems I'm one of that certain percent that meds don't help, and that so I don't think this is even just the depression and fear effects talking. I can remember I've thought about this at many points, many different states. And it never seemed like a good idea to try for a new pharmaceutical over the past years. And my delusion telling me to, my imaginary friends seem to be telling me that for now at least, I am not going to find a pharmaceutical solution to this. Gizmo Glass says, hanging on by the skin of my teeth as well. Mary keeps me company. Obviously, on the one hand, I would want to say, sorry you're going through that. If you're still here, does this help at all? Is it in any way beneficial that I'm here streaming and you get to express that you're feeling it and you know that you're not alone? Because me and Dan and some of the other people here feel obviously not exactly the same way. Each of us carries around our own unique flavor, our own unique set of flavors of suicidal states. None of us completely understand, but does it help to be in the company of others? Which Mary's keeping you company. I've had Jesus around a lot lately. By just saying Mary, it's kind of, you'd assume it's the Virgin Mary, but it could be the, or you could be talking about a friend or a cat for all I know. Hold on a moment. Adam says, "Hey man, hope you're doing okay. What is it you were smoking? Tobacco or pot, depending what moment you meant." Marvin says, "Any attempt of self medication I ever tried only worked as long as the effects were new enough to distract me." Okay, Sabina's doing very good. Excellent. Nice to balance those of us who are low with some of us doing well. The omega 3, I never noticed it helped me. And also, it's like, sometimes you don't notice something's helping, and then when you stop, but you notice, like, oh, I feel worse. But there were times where I took omega 3 for months and months, didn't seem to notice anything. And then when I finally stopped buying it to keep trying, I didn't notice any ill effects after. It's weird how things affect us all differently. Like medications, foods, colors, sounds, smells, movies, books. We all respond to everything differently. Nourishing for some, others have an allergic reaction to. Drugs affect us all differently. So do ideas. See, and Chuck says, "Yeah, I'm back on meds, 4 months on Prozac this time, and things are a lot better." Excellent. Okay, and then I'm pretty anti medication, but I suck when I'm not on SSRIs. I am not anti or pro psychiatric medication personally. I find sometimes we mix up what works for us with some sort of political stance. Like, because one person's psychiatric meds worked for them or worked for their family or friends, even, or something, they take it like some sort of political stance. Psychiatric meds are good. Everyone with mental issues should be on psychiatric meds. You can get the reverse. Psychiatric meds fucked me up, or I saw what they did to my son or best friend or mother or whatever. Nobody should take that shit. It's all poison. I prefer not to have any political opinion on it. Life's tough enough even for people without major fucking mental illnesses. We all have different damage, different imbalances. We all have different lessons we need to learn. So if something helps someone in a way that's their family and friends and blah, 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 like something that helps someone in a good way, even on the overall, if it's got side effects, but overall way more benefits, then fuck it, whatever works for you. I don't look down at anyone who takes psychiatric meds, and I don't look down on anyone who doesn't. And same thing, don't admire either. But fuck, if you're struggling and psychiatric meds help you, I see nothing wrong with taking it. And I'm not like ideologically opposed to psychiatric meds. For instance, I take prescription sleeping pills. Adam asks, do you like hiking or walking in the great outdoors? I am not much for hiking or walking. I like spending time outside. If I'm walking outside, it's to get somewhere to sit down. I like sitting down in the woods, spending time. Yeah, I spend a lot of time outside in the summer, spring, fall. I don't get outside in the winter. Spent all afternoon yesterday outside. It was good weather. It was nice and sunny. So I could strip down, get some direct sun, spend some time with the birds and rodents. And it was really actually a beautiful day. And the best it did for me was got me down to extremely depressed and not actively suicidal at times. Even times out there, sitting with a squirrel in my arm, where I still just wanted out. It was still just all pain. Felt like going through the motions because nature and sun, all that shit should be good for me. Hey, Witcher. Good to see you. Hey, Jam. Jam says, I can see the beacon of strength you emanate, Mercury, although you might not feel it. I do. I feel so fucking weak and broken and pathetic, man. I don't feel any strength. And currently, I do not understand how you see any right now. That's not me arguing with you. I'll share one thing I noticed yesterday. I was sitting outside with the animals. I suppose I was doing some sort of I don't know what to call it. I was trying to learn from the state I was in, and I was trying to examine what it felt like to feel suicidal. And I noticed that it feels like everybody hates me. This is a big bundle of overwhelming pain. And it's so much, it can be hard to tease out exactly what's in there. But lately, my suicidal states, it feels like everybody hates me. And when I shine light on that feeling, like ask, is it reasonable to think that? Why? Why am I feeling like everybody hates me? And there are a few people who, I don't know what word they would use, but I'm sure there's people who do. But even when I focused on the people who have expressly told me they love me, even when I thought of the community here and all of the positive comments, I sort of said to that feeling that everyone hates me, presented it with that info. That feeling was just like, they may not hate you yet, but they will. It's just a matter of time. Good for you, Thomas. Nice to see some more good news. Thomas got approved for his first house today. Congratulations. I don't have it in me to respond to everything. I'm just going to do this badly. Sabina says, if you change the living environment, you could possibly change your state of mind. Yeah, life circumstance doesn't really allow me that. I live on disability and rely on the assistance of others to get supplies. Things would have to change before I would have any option, but besides that, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. My great grandfather built this place and died in this house. Only the blacks have lived in here. I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Kai says, what's going on, man? At the moment, I'm going through fucking suicidal depression. I'm bipolar. For reasons that seem fucking stupid to me in the moment. I chose this time to say that it would come on regularly because there's a bunch of other people who are actively suicidal as well. And the idea this was some sort of attempt at putting out suicide prevention content. My favorite video games, Jam, are the old ones. I like Pac-Man and Galaga and that kind of shit. And I really enjoy the early NES games. I don't play video games much lately, or at all in quite a while. Witcher says, I'm visiting my folks down in Baton Rouge. I'll be back late Friday. I agree with the changing location to change the mentation. This visit has been quite a good mood boost. Yeah, like travel, changing location, even just vacationing. Epigenetics even shows changing your location can change which genes and whatnot are turned on in you. Travel's amazing. Change your location's amazing. Just not an option for me right now. But maybe for other people listening or watching this later, for whom that is an option. Me saying it's not an option for me is not me saying that advice isn't good. That's excellent advice. So if your situation allows it, that might be something some people would want to try. I may try it one day. This just isn't the season. Says, I never was a fan of hiking just to hike much. Preferred walking to beauty spots, but just having that as an option after work weekend is a good way to get clarity of mind. Yeah, that's excellent advice. And I do sometimes enjoy, walking to a specific destination. But I've got very beautiful nature right outside my doorstep, right in the back. So, however, overall, fucking exercise is good for people with depression. It's very, very hard to get yourself going. When I exercise, and sometimes it is a bit of walking, but when I exercise, I tend to prefer like push ups or lifting weights, which I am not doing and have not in a long time. I know it would be good for me to do more physical exercise. I don't have it in me to do it right now. Dust says video games are hard to get distracted on when you're deep in depression. Distraction has its limits, even though I'd take distraction over dwelling on pain. I find not just that, Dust, but with depression, my mind doesn't want to work quickly with the game. Like I don't have the mental energy. Depression sucks all your problem solving out of you, or that like kind of an in general. But I was being too absolute. Sometimes for some of us, depression sucks out your ability to problem solve. Video games are like gamifying problem solving, making it fun. So when I'm depressed, well, there's other times when I'm depressed, I can lose myself, especially in a very repetitive game that I know well. But the way I am now, and I would love distractions from my fucking pain. But putting on a video game just seems like Hmm. Oh, I think the times video games have helped me when I was depressed was when I was just depressed as a part of my own cycle, and it didn't involve major outs like circumstantial problems. Maybe that's it. I'm overwhelmed with fucking circumstantial things I can't deal with. I've got a couple problems in the real world that have been around for years. And that I haven't made sufficient headway on. And it seems like the problem solving part of my brain is definitely burned out right now. So video games don't work at all. Okay, and the Kai says the fact that you're putting this up shows great strength. I'm not like arguing with you. I'm not trying to be a dick, but just for the sake of sharing so people understand what suicidal depression does to you. That doesn't, like, intellectually, I believe you're being honest with me. It seems ridiculous. And my brain will just throw up reason after reason that you might have written that and not thought it. You could be lying to me because you're trying to make me feel better and you think I'm pathetic. And I'm not accusing you of that. It's just, I think for some of us, when we're suicidal and when we're objectively losers, when we're suicidal and alone and we're just a burden on whatever family and friends we have and everyone's worn out by us and we're causing problems and no one's telling us anything positive about ourselves, it can feel like, oh, it would be so much easier if you start imagining that, fuck, I'll jump past the middle of that just got jumbled and go to when you look at someone like Robin Williams committing suicide. You think, how could somebody, who has all that and has so many people, like all these fans and shit and so much, where that does not matter. It's possible to feel like everyone hates you, even while there's a group of people telling you they love you. And that's also, though, not to say that people's comments and shit like that hasn't helped at all. There's times where that feeling that everyone hates me hasn't been a part of the overall suicidal mix. There have been times where individual comments got through to me in the moment. There have been comments either in chat or under videos that it was kind of like how I just reacted to Kai's, where in the moment it just feels ridiculous, but then later it comes to mind and like it gets through. I feel better a bit. And then there are times where it's not any one thing, but the number of them. There's times where it all kinds of blurs together. All the positive comments in the chat and in the comments and in messages people have sent me. Enough of it gets through. Like, fuck, a lot of people are saying this. And it doesn't feel like everyone hates me. It feels like there's love and support out there. Witcher says, you're here, just be. It is so much better than not being anymore. Oh, fuck. Honestly, it feels like the opposite. Like it feels. I'm not saying I agree or believe with what I'm feeling. It's just there. I have such a longing for non-being, for oblivion. But I'm acting as if what you say is true. Not killing myself. And I guess I'm sticking out this series. I hope it fucking ends soon, though. And hope's the wrong word, but I don't know what else to use because I don't feel hopeful. Since I can't think of a better word, I'll say it that way. I hope this is a short fucking series. I said I'd try to check in until I'm past the suicidal, till I can get down to just depressed. Or feeling good if that's possible. I hope there's not many more in this series before I can come on and say, no, it's been a couple days since I've had any suicidal thoughts at all or feelings. I think we can wrap this up. Jam says, I see that you have the strength to not succumb to the temptatious evil. That's the strength I see. Doesn't feel strong to me because it feels like I'm just barely fucking holding that weight up. It's the feeling of weakness in my energy, the feeling that I don't know how much longer I can hold it up. Which can cause such panic. When I think about how long this state has stuck around at some points in the past. Sabina says, I love how you share things with us. That's wonderful. I am committed to the side of love. So anything I can do that puts more love into the world is worth doing. Adam says, any waterfalls or nice hills, woods in your area? Yeah, I live out in the fucking middle of nowhere in Quebec. Everywhere I look, I don't see houses. I can see one dirt road with a string of telephone poles. Other than that, it's old crumbling barns, trees, open fields, or like forest. Look out the back window, I can see Black Creek. Very fortunate to be where I am. And I've got, like, there's great wildlife in this area. There's all kinds of rodents that know me outside, chipmunks and squirrels and groundhogs. That I can feed and pet and all that shit depending who's around. Kai says, reminds me of my father, always thinking everyone is against him. Even when I was trying to help him, he saw that as hating him. This was before he went berserk and we had to get a no contact order. Yes, that can happen to us. By us, I just mean people in general. I've known someone who had a lot of people trying to help them when they were in a bad state, and they interpreted all the help as attack. I've had states, especially like during my total psychotic breaks, when you go back over a decade into my past. That can happen. We can end up in states where everything feels like an attack. We end up in different realities. Jam, your response, like my response to that who wins in the arm battle would be you've got to read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing series. I think you'd have to buy 6 collected works, like 6 graphic novels, but you can buy, they're labeled the Alan Moore. You don't have to read all of Swamp Thing, but if you read all of Alan Moore's series of Swamp Thing, you'll see the arm wrestle. You'll see what happens when the hand of God and hand of Satan go to a final answer. And I don't have the energy in me to describe the answer right now. But even though he wrote that back before he was, he always was. He always tapped into a muse and wrote things he didn't understand. Witcher says, how about a pet? Animals never don't love you. Cats teach you how the world will be with you, and dogs teach you how to be with the world. Pets in general, when I get depressed, I can't take good enough care of them, is why I haven't had pets in a long time. I feel I won't take good enough care of them when I'm depressed. I can't have a cat because I'm allergic to cats, and I can't have a dog because then I can't be friends with the wildlife. You can't. Yeah. Having a dog in the yard means everything else will move out of the yard. And again, this one thing, I'm not fucking trying, like, that is advice for some people. Some people with depression, it helps so much to get a cat or a dog. Pat was on here, one of the previous streams, saying that the puppy he got last year or in the winter or whatever probably saved his life. So again, that's something where it's excellent advice for people in the right situation. But I've contemplated that quite a bit. And for me, at least in this season of my life, it's better for me to be friends with wild animals that can take care of themselves. Well, they all go away anyway in the winter. If I'm friends with the wildlife, it's like in Canada, winter fucking shuts wildlife down. Things hibernate or hide out or disappear and come back in the spring. So for me, when it comes to like relationships with animals, which are excellent for people in depression, I've chosen relationships with wild animals instead of having a pet for those reasons. Thank you, Sabina and Kai. Again, hope isn't the right word because I have trouble feeling hope right now, but for lack of a better one, I hope I feel better soon. Okay, Dust says, you mentioned that depression feels like everyone hates you. As I meditate on the thoughts, those are the feelings that do come up in depression. Yeah, and I think if you don't hear that from someone else or don't, because I didn't hear it from someone else, it came from like meditating and going into my pain to try to understand it better. It's hard to find that in there, especially if you have the obvious reasons. Like both in the real world and online, I obviously have people who love me. They tell me they love me, they act like they love me, they clearly love me. And so it can be hard for the logical, like thinking part of our brain to realize that there's a feeling there if it doesn't make sense. Because to the logical, rational part of my brain that can think clearly, it doesn't make sense that I would feel like everyone hates me. It's ridiculous. However, when I look non-judgmentally at what was going on, I was able to, that feeling was in there. So I think maybe other people who experience, I don't know if that feeling's also there in depression. I'm spending most of my time at some sort of suicidal, but maybe somebody else watching this who's suicidal, that will help them notice that that's there. That part of the feeling is a feeling that everybody hates you. At the moment, Adam, I'm not making fucking plans. I'm getting through day by day. And yeah, Dust. Followed up with those feelings are illogical, though. And no, I've never done a handstand. As a kid, I attempted them and couldn't do them. I think I'm way behind. I'm just going to read quietly for a minute and rest my brain. Hey, Koi, I appreciate the thoughts and prayers. God bless you and everyone watching this. All right, I'm gonna try answering Adam's question because I agree with Sabina. It's a good question. I'm gonna go take a piss first, and then I'm gonna see if I can answer that. All right, Adam says, what advice would you give to someone else in your position, such as one of us in the comments section? Is there any way you can rationalize remedies and solutions for others, but not for yourself? Okay, yes. Well, what exactly do you mean? Is there a way that I can rationalize remedies and solutions for others and not myself? Do you mean, is there a way that I can rationalize giving advice to someone else that isn't good for me? Yes, I could. Like, I don't think it's good for me to get a dog. My relationship with wildlife means a lot to me. Like, a dog doesn't fit my lifestyle. A dog would fit someone else's lifestyle. So Nietzsche saying, I think Nietzsche saying, like, who's to say that the door to my prison is the same as yours. I might discover a key to other people's prisons, yet it doesn't get me out of my own. Different things work for different people. Also, when it comes to giving advice, like in my private sessions, I don't go in with advice, and I don't have I don't have a program. I talk people through it, like through what they're going through, and let them tell me what they need mostly. Or sometimes it does involve a bit of, look, you've said this, this, and this, and you said this repeatedly. Wouldn't that suggest, would this help? Because this, sometimes, but the advice, it's a minimal amount of advice. And only when I can see that they've identified a part of the problem and are so focused on that they're not seeing options. Or so sometimes what it might be is we talk things through and we get down to, okay, so we've gotten to where we can see that this is a big part of your current suicidal depression. Like, yes, okay. Do you need help, like seeing ways that might improve this? They say yes, then it's okay. Some people find this helps. Some people find this helps. Some people find this helps. And then seeing what they react to. It's hard to just give universal advice for two reasons, like with someone who's suicidal. One is we're all different. We're all in different life circumstances. It matters how much of this is internally driven, and it matters how much is externally driven. Because it's possible to become suicidal just from the fucking chemical swing of a bipolar cycle without outside circumstance. It's also possibly to be a perfectly like mentally healthy person, like completely stable, and to experience a life circumstance that is so traumatic you become suicidal. So you've got to look at who the person is, what their life circumstances. You've got to look at how much of this is internal, how much is external. It's always a play between the two. But it's hard to give general advice. If I was going to give general advice, it would be shit like stop lying. Stop lying to yourself. Stop lying to other people. It would be choose the side of good even when that feels like fucking bullshit. Like when I talk about, okay, yeah, and this is the one I should have said before, tell the truth, because tell the truth only step. So the one piece of universal advice that I would say, no matter what state of mind you're in, choose the God is good, existence is meaningful axiom over the God is bad and, the nihilistic, because there's too much information out there. You can make a rational argument for both. You can make a totally rational and logical argument for nihilism, antinatalism, or even you can take it to places that you end up like Panzram or the Unabomber, some mix of that. Be aware that reality's fucked up. It shifts. We're not all in the same reality. And reality isn't this stable, obvious, objective thing people like the scientific community thinks it is. Reality is this weird fucking mystical phenomenon. And when your emotional state changes, when your mental state changes, reality alters. We can move into heavenly states here on earth. Like Christ said, the kingdom of God lays before the eyes of men and they do not see. It seems to me also that the depths of hell lay before the eyes of men and they do not see, except those, who become suicidal or depressed. Also, when Christ said, it lays before the eyes of men and they do not see, he didn't mean no one sees it. You don't see it until you have one of those moments of connection, and then you can see that heaven's been right in front of you the whole time. You can also think naively that this world is safe, and you can get plunged into a hell of it. When you look at, like, Jonathan Haidt talks about confirmation bias and stuff, but even just mindfulness meditation, after a while, you will realize how much you create reality. When you listen to Peterson talk about how our mind create the reality and filter things out, when you look at like that experiment where you count the ball being thrown and then, did you see the gorilla? And when you look at confirmation bias and when you look at how much information's out there, when you shift realities, it will seem, because you can shift to a state of being where it seems so obvious that God is good and where you can actually see that fucking heaven on earth. Me and James discussed that once in a podcast together. I think it's called We Found Heaven and Cried Because You Weren't There. But also when you become suicidal, you enter a state of hell where it seems obvious that existence isn't good, that it's just suffering, and where it seems obvious that God is evil or God doesn't exist and you're alone in this. You stick to the choice. You stick to, like, even when you go into hell, you treat it like a test and you say, okay, Hope doesn't seem real. Joy doesn't seem real. Love doesn't seem real. It feels like everyone hates me. It feels like existence is bad. That's an illusion that can be experienced. It's a limited portion, and in the total that even though this is hell, existence overall is for the positive. And so then if you make that axiom choice, it should be obvious. And if it isn't, listen to Sam Harris or listen to Peterson talk about why you should always tell the truth. That's the universal advice I would give anyone. And then I would work up from there. I don't know if that answered your question properly. I had something in mind before that I wanted to say. I know I didn't say it, but I also lost it. Just said, I know my love is not perfect or amazing, but it's there. Yeah, I agree with you, Marvin. That was beautiful. Bruised reed he will not break. Dying wick he will not quench. Hey, Vacur. How's life in Scotland tonight? Yeah, I had a rat when I was younger that like in 20s, that I loved. I don't know. In the summer, spring, and fall, I feel no need for a pet at all. Sometimes in the winter, I do, but also I hit depressive points where I wouldn't even want to be taking care of a rat. I'd end up leaving her alone in her cage for too much. Or, yeah. But rats are great pets. Adam says, anything you feel you can do that will be a little difficult, enough to build some self confidence, but not too much to overrun yourself. At the moment, this, trying to help other people, is that thing. Hey, Haley. Hope you're doing well. Geckos are cool. I've never had one. But yeah, pet rats are awesome. Thoughts on taking DMT as medicine for your depression? I'm fucking skeptical of any fucking chemicals. The risk of making it worse. Like, and I just mean for me personally, not universally. For me personally. Well, the other thing that it comes down to sometimes, this feels like embarrassing in the moment to admit, but with a lot of my shit, even though I go and look at stuff rationally and I study stuff and blah, 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 and I do try to think about things rationally, I also try to expand and counter my confirmation bias. And I realize how much we don't know. But a lot of the influence on my decisions really comes from my relationship with fucking imaginary friends. I take very, very seriously what the angels and entities tell me. I take very, very seriously what upper management tells me to do. They've been telling me not to look for chemical means at all, like whether we're talking things that get classified as drugs or things that get classified as pharmaceuticals. I guess I'm really following a program with upper management. And I don't get, the answer I get from upper management is that at least for now, I shouldn't alter my body chemistry that way. How far behind am I? Fucking chat is frozen. All right, it's moving again. Sorry to hear that you're feeling down today, Becker. I'm sorry you're going through all that. Fashion and Exiles giving a good response. Sorry, I can't really do the read and respond thing right now. Hi, Marique. Hope you're doing well today. Same with you, not Jeff. All right, I'll read this one. Adam says, when my friends were depressed, I would ask them questions what do you think is the main 3 problems, the main 5 problems, or is there anything that you would like to change first? I wouldn't be able to do the same if a friend asked me the same thing. But removing yourself from the problem and finding solutions looking through your own lens. Okay. Yeah, I know what my problems are. Part of this is lunatic physics. I've had a hard couple years. I had a brutal winter last year, and I had 2.5 wonderful months this year. But when I swung into the wonderful, I swung hard into the wonderful and burned up a lot of energy. Then I pushed through some stressful things, attempting to improve certain, if we're talking outside circumstances, there are problems that if they were fixed, would ease the burden of my soul. And I expended a lot of energy trying to make improvements in those areas. And outside circumstance fucking hit some brick walls. So when it comes to things outside myself that I would like to change or improve, there are aspects of those that I cannot alter. At the moment, there are things I have to wait out. When I think of taking action on some of the outside things, I realize that there are things where there isn't much or anything that I can do to improve right now. And if I let desperate parts of me take over and try to make improvements that aren't going to fucking flow, I can see a lot of ways I can make things worse. So I'm focusing on just trying to survive this suicidal state without making anything worse. And then the couple small things I can do to maintain things or to make things better, I can barely manage. MJ, who I believe is new, if not, sorry. Um, Watching this from the Philippines. It's 4 a.m. here. Honestly, I would have ended my life a long time ago if it weren't for the hope that I have in Christ. His promises are pretty much what keeps me going. Yeah. My worst moments, it isn't hope for anything in this life working out to get me through. It's, I have experience. Like, it's not just that I believe in God and Jesus and shit like that. I've had mystical experiences. I have, even when depressed, experiences of my archangel or interactions with Jesus. I'm not trying to claim those are objectively real. Who the fuck knows whether that's just me being insane or me actually interacting with them. But it seems to me like there actually is. It seems to me like Jesus spends time with me telling me that this is just what I need to go through. And actually, no, there's a bit of advice or there's a bit of teaching or there's a bit of being asked to do things. But sometimes it's just being asked not to kill myself and to go through the suicidal state. Yes, Ezra, I do. Wait, Brian says I mentioned crack and heroin. Were you joking, as I think, or were you being serious? I don't remember saying anything about crack and heroin today. You mean today or recently? I don't remember what you said I've said. I might have used them as metaphors for something. I've never done heroin. I have smoked crack way in the past, but just once or twice. I don't remember. I never had a problem with it. Actually, I never liked cocaine or crack. All right, Two More V's says, I agree at Vacure. Any progress that is made due to drugs isn't really due to drugs, but due to a mixture of your own personhood and the grace of God, literally. Yeah, that's true of every, whether it's psychedelics or something we're calling a recreational drug, or whether that's pharmaceuticals or even fucking eating and air and the progress that the food makes within you isn't due to the food, but it's also the food and a mixture of your own personhood and the grace of God. I think I'm going to wrap this up soon. I'm in a lot of pain and I don't want to. Start expressing that physically. I don't feel like crying publicly at the moment. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up now. I hope someone found it helpful. God bless. Love to all.